Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast.
Where you can find fun, exciting things about being middle-aged.
Oh, you're going to find things about us and about yourself you never thought you knew.
Hold on, come along for the ride. It's going to be fun. Welcome to the Help Me I'm Middle-Aged podcast. My name is Rob.
And I'm Rob, too.
And today we're joined by our first female guest, Rob.
Excellent.
Tracey Hodo.
Hello.
Nice
to be here.
Thank you so much for coming
thanks for
on.
coming in.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
No problem. You have one of a very inspiring story. It's definitely going to fit well with our middle-aged audience, and we're so excited to have you.
Well,
and we just want to talk about your journey through health and how you've decided to take your life and inspire others through what you've done. And if we could just maybe basically to start our interviews, basically where you're from, how did it come up, what type of environment did you grow up in?
Okay, sure. I'd be happy to tell. Well, I grew up in Springfield. I am Italian. I grew up with a very loving family. Typical, a family of a lot of food. Food is love. And I love to cook. I love to serve my dishes, and I love to watch people eat. And
Mange.
Yes, exactly. And I overindulged. As a child, I was thin. I was active. I had 2 kids. It's not an excuse, but one thing led to another, and I became, unfortunately, obese. Actually, I was almost 200 pounds.
Okay. Wow.
And I'm 5 feet tall, and I didn't feel well. Prior to that, I had some congenital heart issues.
Wow.
So they didn't realize that I had that until 3 days after my second daughter was born, and she was in neonatal,
Right.
and I passed out, and my husband resuscitated me.
Oh, my God. Where was this?
Was it home?
He was at home.
Oh,
He's a
wow.
fireman. Well, he's
Oh.
a retired fireman
Okay.
now.
Okay, so you're in the neonatal?
Yeah, I was in the neonatal. Well, she was in the neonatal.
Right.
I was at that hospital, and then 3 or 4 years later, they basically thought it was just stress because of the 21-month-old that I had at home as well. And then I atrial fibrillated again, and they said that they needed to, do open heart surgery. I was 35.
Wow.
It's very young for that type of thing. happening to you.
Yeah. And I had been gaining, at that point, I wasn't quite the 200 pounds. So I made it through the operation. I did well. And then I increasingly started to gain weight again. And then I came to the point where, I was almost 200 pounds, and then I felt like, I needed to do something about it.
Because when you're that heavy, especially for the size you are, it takes everything out of you. The energy level's real low. It doesn't just affect your health; it also affects your
Probably mental state.
mental
I would think.
state.
Oh,
It's
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't feel well. You know what I didn't want? I didn't want to have to go back in for another operation because of something that I did.
Right.
Because, now you have heart disease.
right.
Yeah.
And just the thought of having that again was honestly scary enough.
Was there at a certain event where you said, all right, this is today onward. I'm not doing this anymore.
It's funny that you asked exactly that. I was at my beautiful little niece's birthday party, and I was sitting on the couch, and it was picture time. And, of course, I didn't get in any pictures, but I wanted to be with her. I wanted to take a picture with her. And quickly, I kind of did this weird kind of move to kind of hide myself. And then once I saw the picture, because, we had the camera phones and the pictures are right there immediately.
Right.
And I looked and I said, no, I can't continue. I
Right.
don't feel well. I don't feel good about myself. I don't like the way I look. I was breathing heavy, and I said, it's time.
Okay.
It's time from that moment on.
Yeah.
February 22nd.
Okay.
February 22nd, 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
It'll be 4 years this year.
Wow,
Great.
That is a great story.
Wow.
That's a great story. So how did your family, because if you're going to take this drastic, everything's got to change in your life, right? What you're eating, a lot of times it's also what we're listening to.
Absolutely.
As far as like putting like positive thoughts in our head, because like eating, especially being Italian, is an emotional thing.
It is an emotional thing. I loved to cook. I loved to watch people eat. I turned to my family, and they were supportive.
Right.
But like as even like as a woman or even with men, sometimes you have to let go of certain things to make room for yourself.
Right. Yep.
So I said to the girls, I said, listen, I said, if you want something specific, I'll make it for you. But we're going to just start eating, clean. And they were okay with that, because I think the younger generation, because they're both in their 20s now,
Okay.
they're used to.
Yeah, it's more common.
They're used to everybody joining the gym.
Right,
They're
right.
used to eating, more healthy. When I was younger, I didn't even know what Chinese food was. Like, I didn't know what different food was. Like, you ate what was
Put in front of us.
Yeah, I always say a story, like people don't realize, but like in the 70s, especially depending on my income class, you never went out to eat. Like
No.
I never remember going out to eat.
I didn't know what it was.
I never remember going out to
know.
eat. We just ate at home.
We ate at home, and it was good food. It was good. But yeah, you ate at home, and you didn't have like if you decided you wanted, not that it wasn't healthy at home, but you didn't really have a choice. Like that's what
it was
you.
put in
it.
front of you, so it's kind of.
And it was good. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Homemade.
You're not going to push it away.
You're
or
not
anything.
pushing
Yeah.
exactly. You're not pushing away. The loaf of bread came out.
Yeah.
The pasta came out. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
My favorite was on Sunday when the sauce was cooking, and then like when nobody would look, right, you go grab that bread
Yeah,
and you
you
would like
just-
dip it in there, right? And like the giant.
Hey, where'd that loaf go?
I know,
So,
like the Giants were on TV when like Phil Simms was quarterback,
Oh, my
and like you
God.
would like dip it in there. Oh, it was like the best.
Like honestly, you're speaking to my heart. Like I mean, you're getting me right.
But I
there.
have any bread now, I'm dead in the water all day.
Yeah.
Well, some people don't go to the extremes that I do. I was really honest with myself. I needed to remove myself from white flour, refined sugars, artificial boxed and processed foods.
Did you read the book Wheat Belly?
I actually didn't,
Oh, okay,
but
'cause
you
they
know
talk
what?
about that a lot now.
Yeah, and it's funny. I just realized that I went to have an extensive blood test. I am actually gluten intolerant.
Oh, really?
So that explains a lot. When I was eating that food, even when I was younger, the bloating, everything that happens, and that really affects you.
Oh, yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
feeling well, like you're eating the food you like, but you don't understand why you don't feel well, like
Yeah.
afterwards.
It's like my life story.
Wow. So
Yeah.
did you, when you decided to do this, did you have a specific diet you were going to jump right into, or did you evolve into a different diet over time?
Well, this is a great thing that I'm not proud of it, but it is my story. I did every diet under,
Oh, high
you
five.
can
I
That you
did the
can-
cabbage soup diet. I did Atkins. I did everything that came down the pike.
Did you do the bead diet where you were rubbing beads behind your ears and
I've heard
drinking
of
milk
that.
and carrots?
Wow.
No.
The bee diet?
I've heard that.
beet-
Yeah.
the
start
beet, yes,
Yeah.
the
I didn't
beet.
hear about the milk and carrots, but
Yeah,
that's
that's basically all you could drink was like, I don't know, one day it was like a cup of milk, the next day it was like maybe like a bag of carrots. I mean, I lost.
But that's how desperate we are. We'd try anything because
I-
we couldn't figure it out.
I didn't know what to do. And I would, it's funny because I would go up and I would go down and I would go up and down. Okay, I lost 30 pounds, but now, you know what? Now I'm back into it. Like now I'm,
Right, right.
what,
Now you're stirring the sauce on
Yeah,
something.
exactly. That's it. That's it.
Next diet.
Yeah,
You got
and
another Randazzo's, get the bread.
oh, I love Natal's. I love going to Natal's, the bakery in Summit, right?
Yeah, Yep.
Back to the question. So one diet that I did that actually I felt really good on, and I don't know why I didn't stick with it, was Atkins.
Okay.
But
Because we didn't know back then what it was really about. We didn't know about keto. We didn't know about the we just knew it was working. And then it would also get a lot of bad press too.
oh,
It had good
well,
press
that's
and
it.
bad press.
Well, see, just like anything, what works for you may not work
Right,
for me,
right.
and vice versa. I am very like, listen, you do you, and I support you, whatever it is that works. One thing I that I remembered about the Atkins is, yeah, I lost a lot of weight, but I felt good. And I just kind of instinctually for myself knew not to eat that much fat because it felt enough fat was adequate.
Yeah.
To go above that, I didn't feel well on, and I lost a lot of weight. So this time I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do the keto. I went online. I went on Facebook, and there's a group and that I really connected with. They were a high protein keto, which I remember I was kind of doing that with the Atkins.
Right.
And I felt great. And I was able to build muscle even at my age, with the protein. And I've been doing it ever since, and I feel much better.
So I went for a talk. I was at the Marriott in Bridgewater, and they had this coach come in, and he's a nutritionist and everything. And he was talking about how women lose 10 pounds of muscle mass per decade.
Yes. Yes.
And they don't realize, like, you have to work at keeping that muscle mass because then you get to a point in life where it's like, you can't move the leg.
Then your bones suffer too,
right? Your bones suffer.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
This building muscle mass as we start to get into the middle age of our lives is very important for longevity and health down the road.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I honestly feel very blessed because you could see from that picture that I brought you guys initially, I was just doing the low carb. I was initially started with the low carb, moved into the high protein keto, but I had become very thin. And then once I became very thin, I kind of looked in the mirror and didn't recognize myself. I was like, oh, so I was very interested in starting to learn how to lift weights. And then when I moved into higher protein and started to gear towards that higher protein keto, I put on muscle that people were like, wow, what are you doing? And I felt very good about being able to put on muscle at my age. I'm going to be 52.
Did you ever lift weights before?
No.
Okay.
I never did.
So here's a question for you. I notice sometimes, because I've done, about 5 years ago, I lost about pretty much 70 pounds. Then the last 6 months, I put like 15 to 20 on.
Okay.
And I'm trying to hit the brakes. Matter of fact, I'm starting to feel like I used to a little bit.
Okay.
And my discipline has been weak, and I'm trying to get back. But what I notice is that when you drop the weight like that, your friends sometimes don't always, what are you doing?
Right.
You notice you didn't other people start to, they're not not happy for you, but they're you know what I'm talking about?
Are they worried that
Did
you're losing too much weight?
you
It's
get any of that? And because you have success, sometimes you make other people feel uncomfortable.
That could be the case.
Have you had
that
personally
could-
experienced that?
You know what I think it was initially? Some of my friends would say, because I kind of lost it in a way fast, because, when you're omitting the other stuff and you're just eating, basically for me, what was whatever you could grow or kill, if you could say.
Gotcha.
Right.
You become, thinner, I think, more quick.
Makes sense.
Quickly. And they would say to me, oh my God, you're getting too skinny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they didn't know how to, they thought maybe I wasn't eating a lot. I was eating a lot.
Right.
I mean, because you can. Well,
Just the
for
right
me,
stuff.
Just the right stuff. Because you're omitting the other, the other stuff.
Right.
And they were, I think, a little worried, that I was becoming too thin. They weren't used to it. But I would try to explain to them, look, I am eating. I am not, really restricting my portions to the point where
Your calorie intake is up there at the end of the day.
It's still up there.
Yeah.
It's still
For you.
You still have to be in a caloric deficit, but to lose weight, no matter what you're doing. But I was definitely eating.
You're not starving.
I wasn't starving.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I wasn't starving. Yeah, so you do have it, and so I just try to explain to them, that I feel better and that I feel healthy, and I tell them about what I'm eating, and they started to understand.
Right.
I think where the issue may have come is that when you're spending a little more time on yourself and you're not there for some, for
Yeah.
some people, they may think like, oh, you're avoiding me, or you don't have time for me anymore. And
Yeah.
that's where I think there was,
A little friction.
yeah,
that can happen.
yeah.
But I mean, if you really think about it, and you're trying, I mean, we're not here too long.
Right.
So by being as thin as you are and as healthy as you are now, building muscle mass, I mean, listen, we all get curveballs in life, and there's no guarantees. But the odds are you'll live a longer life
I'm
being
hoping.
thinner than you will by being heavier.
Well, true.
Through diabetes and all these other things that we get. So, I mean, from a long-term strategic play, it's the move.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I just, I think it's like it's not only like a physical change, because it's also like mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
I think if you're happier, you live longer. I've read that, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Sure.
I feel like then it's like a snowball. Like, so if you're happier, you want to do more things. So they say that if you're more socially active, that you live longer instead of being like isolated. So if you feel better about yourself, then you're,
Yeah. It feeds on itself. In a lot
yeah.
of fashion.
So I just feel like it's like a snowball. Not only like physically are you healthier, and maybe your organs, or not, you don't have that versatile fat. Is that what it's
Right.
called?
Yeah, around your organs.
Around
the
your
visceral fat. Yeah, yeah,
around your
that-
organs,
that-
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you just. It's I believe like a whole collective thing that you would live longer.
Did you have any, when you were at your heaviest and you knew, some people are heavy and they're happy and they live productive lives, and they're just happy, and that's awesome. But some of us, when we get heavy, we get a little depressed.
Exactly.
Were you ever depressed at your heaviest?
I mean, here's the thing. There was a point when I was doing 25 different diets and going up and down. I'm like, Tracey, just rock the fat, like rock it. Like,
Own it,
embrace
own it.
I'm like, I went out, I bought the jeans, I bought, they were size 16, now I'm a 2. I bought the jeans, I had the outfit. I'm like,
You always put together.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, I'm gonna rock this outfit, and you know what? I looked in the mirror and I said, I can't do this. I can't. I personally was not happy, and I think there is a level of I don't think I hadn't been like
Like a
clinically-
clinical depression, but like inside.
Inside, yes.
But there's some people who are a size 16 and
they're happy.
They're happy and they pull it off and they're loving and they you can't imagine anyone, and that's them. They own it. But when I'm heavy, I start to get a little depressed.
I think
And I don't know
because-
why. I mean, I may be a little shallow, which my wife would
Listen.
probably agree with me. But I might as well own it. But yeah, I get that feeling like when I'm really, really feeling good and
Right.
you're at that waist that you want to be, like you
Right.
feel really good.
Right. I think it's because for me, and I do agree, like I blessings to anyone that is comfortable
In their
with
skin.
who they are.
Right.
I love it and I embrace
Right.
it. I think because I was a very thin child.
Mm-hmm.
My mother actually said my underwear would fall off as a little girl. Like you couldn't buy something that small. I was just tiny.
Right.
I was active. I was a thin young adult. I think that's why when you're 5 feet tall and for me, and I was almost 200 pounds, I was not comfortable because I felt like it wasn't me.
Right.
And then that's where like the depression, like if you're not feeling well, you don't like the way you look, you can't breathe by the time you get up to the top of the stairs. Like, so you're having all these issues. For me, no, I didn't feel well like that. Yeah, no, I needed to make a change, and I started, basically, I think I started to forgive myself, if that's, I started.
Explain that.
Well, you know what? I looked in the mirror, and here you are. You have a lot of weight to lose. You have 70 pounds to lose to be at a normal weight for your
BMI.
For my BMI. Well, not even like, yeah, exactly. So I said, all right, forgive yourself. You failed. You're at this point. You're 47, just about to turn 48 years old. And I did. I looked in the mirror. I said, I forgive you. And then I said, you know what? Now I need to do one more thing here. You need to accept it. I needed to accept where I was. I needed to accept that it was going to take time. I needed to accept that I needed to change my ways. I needed to accept that, you know what, maybe the floor is not as clean as it used to be. You
Right,
know,
right.
Yeah.
maybe I don't do certain things. Maybe I can't, maybe go out at night because maybe I need to,
Get to the
prep
gym or something.
or prep my food, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
And then after that, I was grateful. I was grateful that I can really see myself. And after that, I felt great. I hadn't even started yet,
Yeah.
and I already felt great. And you know what? It's been a journey. And I said, you know what? It's a journey. It's not a race. And I'm going to take this hopefully to the end. And I always give myself like new goals so that I don't, become complacent where I am.
Right.
Realistic goals.
Yeah, I think people get distracted, bombarded by different stimuli. When they're trying to go
Yeah.
through this, it's very easy to get distracted and go off. And it's like, well, I'll be a little bit more, disciplined tomorrow.
Right,
That type of
right,
thing.
yeah.
So you
So
really do
that's-
need more time for yourself, I
You
think.
do, you do, and you need to really see yourself, and you need to be honest with yourself.
Right.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. To be alone with yourself and think like, okay, you know what, you can do this. You can do this.
So now, what is your heart doctor, cardiologist, like where are you now as far as that part of the health of your life all these years later after that initial episode? So where are you now?
So I did, unfortunately, atrial fibrillate 13 years after my operation. I kind of thought that I wasn't going to, and so because it had been so long, and I didn't feel really well directly afterwards. But when I, called my doctor, he's like, you know what, it's okay. You're going to be fine. He's like, how long did you atrial fibrillate for? I'm like, I think 30 seconds. He's like, all right, you know what? He's like a non-alarmist. He's like, if you atrial fibrillate for like a minute, then call me back or something, and he's like, just live your life. So I am not on any medication.
Right.
I hadn't been since they fixed,
problem.
the repair. And I'm in great health. I just saw him recently. I actually reach out to him, and I'm like, "Can you see me? It's been 2 years." He's like, okay, come on in." So, like I just like to, just be, proactive,
Right,
and,
right,
and
on top of everything.
Yeah. And I actually had to see him because after I lost the weight, I had to have some skin removal.
Okay.
So
Is this part of the mommy makeover?
this is part of
Yeah,
the
tell us
mommy
about the
makeover.
mommy makeover.
Yeah. At first I was embarrassed. So the mental game again. I felt great about myself. I had lost all the weight. I started to lift weights. And if I'm being perfectly honest, at night, you take off your clothes and there was a constant reminder when you looked in the mirror. I'm like, I felt great all day. And then I said, oh, gosh, I had some extra skin.
Right.
And, I didn't feel good about myself again, so it was that emotional thing. And I looked at my husband and he loved me for, who I
you
am,
are.
who I am. And I said, what I'm thinking that, it might be time to, take it somewhere where I can't fix it.
Right.
Like I needed somebody to take over where I left off.
Right.
So I met this great doctor, Dr. Tutela. He's in Livingston. He also has a place in an office in New York City. And I walked in and I said, just make me whole again. And he knew exactly what I needed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. And he did a wonderful job. And I really feel good about myself. And I really like.
How was the recovery time from that procedure?
So that procedure was, actually it was probably more evasive than my open heart surgery, I would
Really?
say.
Wow.
Yeah, because they repair your stomach.
Right.
Your stomach excessive. No, I said that wrong. Excessive weight gain, pregnancy. So they have to sew your stomach muscles together.
Really?
So yeah.
Wow.
So I.
It was a big procedure.
It was a big procedure. You had basically the whole front of your. Whole front of you worked on. So it took some time. Probably like I was probably feeling better like 6 weeks out. But it
Okay.
took a good 3 weeks to really like start to feel halfway, but it was well worth it. And he was right at my side. If I needed something, he was right there for me, and I healed beautifully.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So
That's
Tracey,
great.
you brought a picture with you wanted to share too,
I
right?
did.
I left it up there.
Oh,
so can
thank
show
you.
everybody.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So is the left picture?
Yeah, so this here is what I looked like prior. I was just about 190 pounds.
Okay.
I think I weighed a little bit more, but I would not get on the scale.
Yeah.
Here is after I lost the weight. I was only doing cardio. I didn't know how to lift weights
Right,
at
that
the
was
time.
before lifting. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
when friends are coming to you and saying, "Oh, you look really
They
thin."
they
yeah.
did they
Okay.
did. But at this weight, so I was 5 feet tall and I was about 122 pounds.
Okay.
So that was
good.
yeah, it was pretty good. Here was just the other day, and I did put on another probably about 8 to 10 pounds, and it feels like it's muscle.
I was gonna say, my guess is it's not fat.
I don't think it's fat. I think I was blessed in 3 years. I was able to acquire this, much muscle. It's really from the protein that I eat.
Okay.
I only take. I have a couple of supplements that I take, but
Put that down for you.
yeah, creatine I like to take, and just like bone broth for like good. Collagen intake, but other than that, I don't take anything else. Sometimes I'll take a multivitamin if I
Right.
remember.
They're good for you. Good for
Could
you.
you share like a typical diet of food throughout the day that you're eating,
Oh,
what you're doing? Like,
yeah.
give us an example.
yeah.
like-
Yeah, absolutely. So I do pretty much follow. I eat about 135 grams of protein a day, and that could be. I kind of shy away from red meat only because I don't like it as much.
I'm not a red meat guy either.
Yeah, filet mignon, Christmas time, I like, and it's a treat. But I will, grill chicken. I'll put chicken in the air fryer. I do ground turkey.
Are you doing organic or no?
I try,
Right.
but I have to admit, not all the time.
Gotcha.
It's expensive.
It is expensive,
It's
yeah.
expensive when you're feeding, like, a family of 4.
Sure.
It can
Yeah,
really.
yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, when I can, I do. But yeah, I will definitely, cook all my chicken. I love seafood. I've forced myself to like salmon. I
love
said,
salmon.
you love salmon. Now I do. But in the beginning, I say that, honestly, there was like 3 months. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know if I can do this. But I kept on eating it. And, I have to say, I really like it. Yeah, so I will do that.
How about types of oils? Like, are you staying away from the canola oils? And
Absolutely.
just staying away. Just
I
'cause
like.
that stuff's like, oof.
I like olive oil. I use coconut oil. I use a coconut spray.
Right.
So yeah, those mostly are the oils that I use. Yeah, I don't really venture out too much more with any kind of other oils than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So now at this point in your life, you have all this amazing success, successful marriage, great kids. You've conquered your weight issues. You're building muscle mass, and then you decide that you're going to share your story to help others by maybe inspiring them.
Absolutely. So I started an Instagram page. It's Flexing Over 50.
We'll put a link in the description below the video.
Thank you. Yeah. And there is where the blessings I really feel that are coming, because I feel like I want to inspire, men, women, a lot of women, over 50 who feel like I did. Like, I can't do this. I have too much to do. I can't make time for myself. So I'll give tips of what works for me, and then they could take it from there, as I'm no expert. So I want to let them know that, what, if I can do it, you can too. And eventually I would like to, I'm actually going to Rutgers. Hopefully I will be a certified personal trainer soon.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I want to kind of put that in my pocket, and I'm then would like to get my nutrition certificate.
Right.
And then eventually I would love to be an accountability coach, because I feel like
yeah.
the mental part of it is where I want to work with somebody, so I can help them get through. Maybe they don't have the support at home. I had support at home.
Right.
Maybe they don't have it. So I want to be there for them, because I feel like if I don't give it away, I feel like I might lose it myself.
There's a theme, and Rob, we talked about this. It sort of runs through this podcast, through the journey of life. But like when you help others, succeed, it's almost the feeling you get is better than when you actually succeed at something yourself.
Yeah, seeing
Absolutely.
the help that you've given out actually
Yeah,
come
when,
about.
yeah, when you put that energy out there, it comes back to you like that. Like if you're,
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
a
when
blessing.
when you start to have clients and move on to that phase of this process, like to see them succeed is an amazing feeling. And to maybe maybe I don't know if you'll make a living or extra income or however that's going to all turn out. I'm sure whatever you decide, you'll make it work. But that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, my grandfather always said, Tracy, your hand should always be like this, not like this. Like, you should be giving.
Right.
Right.
So I want to give. I want to give it to them. I want to give them inspiration. I want to give them tools. I want to be there for them in case they don't have somebody to be there, for them. And that would actually make me grow as a person myself.
Do you do a lot of speaking? Or-
No, I'm actually.
Speaking here today.
Well, I have to say, my mother would tell me all the time. We would be standing at the bus stop, right? And she goes, "Tracy, you'd be 5 years old, and you wouldn't shut up." So I do have the gift for gab, but instinctually, I'm actually a little bit shy. In a way.
Right.
So I would love to. Yes, I would love to be out there and, just be me and let, people know that I'm there for them and inspire.
Right.
That's awesome. So through this Instagram page
Yes.
and the followers, and have you done direct? I'm not really big on the social media stuff, but have you just now been able to direct message people? Have you talked to any of your followers? Have you given them support? Have you gotten any of that feedback back? Hey, Tracy, thanks. You really helped me. Have you gotten any of that back?
I absolutely have. I do respond. I like to, respond to legitimate, questions.
There's some kooks out there once in a while. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave them alone. Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
But I do respond to people that I feel that are truly hurting, or that they may want to say that I've gotten many times, I didn't want to go to the gym today, and then I saw you.
Right.
I didn't want to go to
Yes.
the gym today, but then I saw that you're up because I go to the gym crazy hours. I'll go at 4:00 in the morning. I'll go 4:30. I like it in the morning.
Yeah, it's quiet there.
That's my time.
Right.
Rob's up at 4 every day.
Yeah, it's actually in my clock, so
Yeah.
it works. And yes, I actually. The older I get, sometimes I get emotional, and I'll be reading something, and somebody will say something so kind. I mean, listen, as human beings, as a woman, even as I'm aging, I want to be pretty. I want to be attractive. I want, people to see me in that light. But more so, when somebody says I'm inspiring,
Yeah.
or they got out of bed because of me, that
It's
is
like a
that's
natural
great.
high.
Yeah.
that's amazing. Amazing. So yeah, I just hit 3,000 followers today.
congrats.
And when
Congratulations.
and it's really not so much about collecting all the followers, but I just feel like the ones that I have truly feel a connection with me, which I enjoy.
I think you're making a difference.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I enjoy
huge.
that.
Yeah, I don't think you're doing the social media stuff for you, as far as you're trying to give back, you're trying to inspire others, and then when that's successful, you just feed off that energy.
I do.
There's an exchange that happens.
Yeah, very positive
Very
exchange.
positive exchange.
Yeah.
So what you give, and then they give you back, and you really feel it.
I do feel it. I'm actually on 2 Facebook sites. One is, Women That Lift, and another one is Barbells and Ponytails. It's
Barbells
cute.
and ponytails.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
cute.
that.
It's cute, and it's all women. And when I go on there and I show my my exercises, or I tell them about my life and stuff, the feedback from them is just overwhelming, because it's real people that are doing what I'm doing, and I can tell them like, oh my God, you're inspiring me. You're doing great. It's really like on those social sites, especially that that you can lay it all out there, and you won't be criticized. You won't be for the most part.
Yeah.
You're accepting, and that is like you're collectively with people like you. On the Instagram, it might be like a little bit different, because you're really like wide variety of different people. But even with that, I feel blessed that I am making a difference.
That's great.
Yeah. It's really wonderful.
So now, does your husband partake in the gym?
He does go to the gym, but we don't go to the same gym actually. And he goes a little bit later. But
Right.
yes, he goes to the gym. He likes the food that I cook. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I make the managua and all the other
Yeah.
stuff, when it's Christmas time, he's all in. But yes, and actually, to be honest, because he's a retired fireman, but he cooks too. So
Right.
he makes the best turkey burgers for me. He's very supportive.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
He makes shrimp and broccoli and really great stuff. So yeah, together we work well.
That's great.
That's great.
Like I think like when I lost all my weight, my wife was like so supportive and encouraging, and she would do like whatever I needed to succeed,
Yeah.
and she was rah right behind me. And I really think that when you have that supportive family unit, it just helps so much when you're going through, because it's not an easy task to change your entire life.
Exactly. And like I said, some people don't have that at home.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't even have anybody at home.
Right.
Like
Right,
maybe
right.
it could be somebody that's not supportive, or maybe they're alone.
Right.
And they just need somebody to, be inspired by, or
That's
just
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
or if they just want to send me like a quick little note, like how did you make that? Like if I put up a recipe, it's great. They'll ask, and I'll just list my ingredients, and they're happy, and that's where I get it all from too. Because I didn't know how to lift weights,
Right.
So I had a really great gentleman. His name is JR. After he saw the skinny or thin me, I should say. He's like, you know what? I watched you and you have a great story, and I saw you lose all that weight, but you need to start lifting weights. And I said, I don't know how. And he said, you know what? Come here, let me show you a few things. And that just snowballed. And then I went on YouTube. How do you use the machines at Planet Fitness?
Right.
Right.
And it all popped up. And that's how I taught myself. And then wonderful people at the gym. If I didn't know something, either somebody would maybe saw me do something that wasn't right, hey
Yeah.
Trey, maybe you should do it this way.
Right.
And I was always thankful for that.
Oh, that's nice.
Very
was
thankful.
Awesome. That was awesome.
So what's a typical weight training day for you?
So I definitely like to hit each muscle group twice a week.
Okay.
That seems to work well for me. I definitely go in the 10 to 12 rep range.
Right.
I feel that form over weight. So when somebody says, how much can you curl? I'm like, I think it's 15 pounds. So like, I don't really, depending on the day, depending on how I feel, if it feels right, then I'll do it. If I can keep the perfect form, then I do it. If I can't that day, I drop it down. I like time under tension. I like to, work
Time under tension. Explain that.
Like I really like to almost feel like I'm going through mud. As you age, your muscles can handle the weight. It's your tendons and your ligaments that actually
Give out.
can't. So I like to pretend like I'm lifting through mud. So if you can make any weight heavier. So I said to myself, all right, so if I had like 15 pounds and I wanted to curl it, and I wanted to give myself like a little extra, pump, or, to feel like I'm doing a little bit more, I would just like pretend I'm like going through mud and like, really accentuate the, like
stress of it?
bringing it down,
Yeah.
So that you feel that
Right, like instead of
that
letting the weight drop down, you go
Right.
down slowly.
Yeah,
Negative, what they call
eccentric,
it,
eccentric, motion, and that really has worked, well for me. I see wonderful ladies lifting heavy. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever you're doing is working perfect.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's working well. So I'll hit, each muscle group, twice a week. I usually do 1 day of rest and motion. So I might stroll, do my Instagram on the treadmill. I like to go to the gym every day for the mental feel of it,
Right.
getting up, the fresh air, strolling a little bit, maybe some abs, calling it a day. But if I feel like maybe that day I can't do something, I'll say it's okay, and then I'll just go home. Like if I'm not feeling it that day, I don't like to push myself too
But at
hard.
least you go.
But I like to go. It's
Yeah.
right down the street, so I'm like, you know what, you're up. Why not go?
Right. Right.
So question for you as we get near the end here. At what point did you realize that you were middle-aged?
Or perhaps she doesn't realize. it
No,
yet.
but I know it was with that when I saw that picture. When I saw that picture, I was 47, and I said, you know what? You will not feel this way at 50. You cannot feel this way at 50.
Right.
It's not good for you. So right there, that was the call. I was my birthday's in May, so
May what?
May 15th.
Oh, 20th.
Taurus, yes. We got a lot coming. So I was just about to turn 48, and I said, no, I'm going to give you 2 years. 2 years. No matter how much weight you lose, you'll feel better. I didn't care if it was 5, 10. I didn't know that it could actually, that I could get to this point.
But you gave yourself permission. I like that. It's kind of like, it doesn't have to be, well, we're just going to go crazy and try to lose all the weight in like 6 months. Give yourself a few years to actually do it.
Because that's how we burn out,
Yeah.
and that's how those fad diets,
Right.
like that's how we were burning out. We wanted it right then and there, and that's when it comes back to,
You can only be on the cabbage soup diet for so long.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. It
1996.
exactly.
It was popular in May that year.
It comes down to the forgiveness, the acceptance, and the gratefulness. And then once you have that, then you know what? Give yourself time. It's not a race. It's a journey.
Right.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key. That's the journey. Advice to the audience on as they go through their journey of health. What could you tell people? Like, sum it up.
I would say, you know what? Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. It's okay. You're at the point, like if you're overweight and or you're just not feeling well, or it's okay. And you know what? You have a future. It's you could do anything really if you put your mind to it, is the way I feel. So I say, be realistic in how long it's going to take, and don't give up. Don't give up.
Right.
That's the thing. Just keep striving, and it's actually okay if you have setbacks, because you're human. So if you feel like, oh, I can't mess up, or what if I don't do well, it's okay. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Do you ever have setbacks now?
I I do gain weight like here and there. Like if I'm not careful with my portions, so
Even though you're eating, you still have to control the portions.
it really comes down to regardless of what diet plan, it comes down to a caloric deficit.
Yeah. Calories
And
in.
that's really what it is. So yeah, so if I'm I will weigh all solids and measure all liquids when I'm really being good.
Measure liquids. Explain it to me.
Yeah, because
Not
like,
water, right?
No, I'm sorry. Like, if you oils, like if you want, if you're putting some oil.
So you're not just like, well,
Right,
it's
you
a
use like a
teaspoon.
tablespoon.
That's where
Yeah.
things get sticky.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So if you're following, specific macros, like if I'm 5 pounds heavier and I want my abs to show, they won't show. They're there.
Right.
But there is that sweet spot
Right,
that you
right.
have to be. So if you want your abs to show, I need to lose like 5 pounds for that, to really show. So that's where the measuring and the weighing really come into play with the macros.
Right.
So if I'm bulking, if I want to, maybe see if I can put on a little bit more muscle, I will, eat a little bit more. And sometimes I don't weigh and measure, and that's where that fine line comes. So I have to be careful with that.
Now, do you find, I mean, obviously you didn't have this issue back when you were 30, but do you find being over 50, the effort that needs to go into it is very difficult? Or?
Yeah, there is a lot of, there's so much effort, like, I think when you get older to, put yourself first, like it's hard, for me as a mom, I wanted to, put the kids first, put the family first and stuff. I know wonderful, beautiful women that were able to balance it all. I had a hard time balancing. And you know what, honestly, it could have been an excuse. Could it have been too hard to go to the gym at that time?
Yeah.
So
I got to take care of my family. I don't have time for this gym.
Yeah. So I don't want to blame it all them. Sometimes it's excuses.
Yeah.
So so now, yes, it takes a lot of effort to, put yourself first so that you can achieve the goals that you want to.
And sleep is important too.
Yeah, I go to bed very early. My husband makes fun of me, like especially in the winter. Pajamas are on at like 4:30 at night.
There you go.
Yeah,
4:30.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's yeah, like
4:30.
She's not going to bed.
This guy goes to sleep at 8 o'clock. 4:30.
Like,
you don't even make that 6 o'clock news.
No, I'm on the couch at the. It's funny. Like when it's cold, it's whatever you.
My family does the same thing.
You want to put your pajamas on. You want to take your makeup off. You want to
relax a little
You
bit.
just want to relax a little
Wind
bit.
it down.
But naturally, I always fell asleep at birthday parties, cousins' birthday parties. There would be Tracey sleeping on the couch. Everybody, how we used to, conjugate.
Yeah.
There's 3,000 people in a small little apartment.
Coffee,
and
Entenmann's cake.
Coffee, exactly. I love Entenmann's cake. Yes, that touches. Yeah, it's so true. And you couldn't touch it unless you had to wait. You had to wait till you had to make sure. That Entenmann's was only for guests.
Right.
So you lay stare. Please, somebody stop by. Yeah. So I would always go to sleep early. So I do go to bed early, and I do totally believe in adequate sleep, especially
so
I think
important.
for like women, because they go through that hormonal change.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like waking up, maybe they might fall asleep, but they're up at 1, they're up at 2, they're up at 3. So now, you know what, if I wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock, I'll go to the gym. And then, I'll come home, and then maybe I'll,
It'll regulate itself back.
Yeah,
into it.
you get back into it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you're giving yourself permission to go to bed early too? I mean, I think
I
that's
do.
good.
I'm
You don't
lucky.
the stigma of not having to, be up late or anything.
The girls are older now,
Yeah.
so my sister and my sister-in-law make fun of me. They don't even ask me to go out at night anymore because they're like, she'll be sleeping.
That's like Rob. Him and his wife, like, oh, the Vecinos are going to sleep.
They go to sleep.
It's 8:30.
Right,
We
'cause
can't,
you're
we
up
can't
at
take
4,
them out.
right.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been really wonderful.
Well, Tracey, we'd like to thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
This is
been
the
great.
Help Me I'm Middle Aged podcast, and I think we're done, Rob.
Yeah, this is great.
okay.
Thank you very,
Thank you
very
so
much.
much, Tracey.
Thank
Take
you
care.
so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Take care,
Thank you.
guys. Bye. Next time.